Hi everybody. Unfortunately, both 17 Carat K-Pop and my other podcast, Enthusiasts, will be on a hiatus for a bit. I hope you enjoyed this special mini-sode, a bonus one I recorded at the end of last year. So if I don't acknowledge any breaking news, that's why. There are a couple of these bonus episodes, but please stay tuned and keep tabs on what I'm up to, which you'll be the first to know about on Substack, which I will keep updating, although a little less than I used to. I'll explain more about what I'm up to at a later date. So enjoy these mini-sodes, please stay tuned for my return, and until then, please keep up with me. Links to my newsletter, website, all that good stuff in the description. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the show. Today's mini-sode, a bunch of miscellaneous best-of picks for 2023. Who really stood out for cool marketing, teasers, highlight medleys, short films, bonus goodies, the visual package deal components that made their comebacks really pop. Some K-pop comeback preview videos this year went for a vertical video style, very TikTok-esque. Yuju, Soyun did that too, with wardrobe changes throughout, like taking on different characters. One Boy Next Door comeback featured a highlight reel where they knocked on a different door for each song teaser, to preview each like an advent calendar of sorts. They also had a comeback with a missing poster filled premise. Kiss of Life teased the Born to Be XX comeback with a fake newspaper. The track list was a sidebar. The main story was summing up the themes of this era to expect. NMIX had a similar premise with a fake newspaper. And editions of that paper told an origin story basically boiling down to this magical green candy makes people become just like everybody else. So you want to fit in, try this trendy candy. And as they realize that's happening, they want to try to stop it because it's this evil cat's plot to stamp out diversity and uniqueness in NMIX's world. So they set out the scene of this detective undercover mission investigating this candy-making establishment and along the way honoring the fact the world is better with differences in it. They also had a fun invitation preview for their Party O'Clock era with the Summer Night's Dream vibe. Alice, the rebranded Elris, reintroduced themselves with acrostics and showing different answers for each of them. So the puzzles showed they're not just reintroducing themselves, but in a multifaceted way. Similarly, iChillin' had a word search theme for their highlight medley. Some had beautiful illustrations, like Yisun's Scented Things preview, cool animations in Just B's Division album. Some went for a short film format, like Dio with Expectation. Some went for an a cappella video, like Purple Kiss and member Swan Solo. Some went for a more intimate feel, like you were in the studio getting a preview of the raw demo, like Dawn, Lee Chae-yeon kind of, with her radio announcer premise. Onu had a cute pop-up book meets puppet show vibe for the album teaser for Circle. Zikers had this arcade game unfolding, so the preview played while you watched this game. A robot's face was showing you the face screen. NCT 127 had some really smart promo this year with the Deities of Soul preview video for the Fact Check era and that monologue alluding to so much. It was so cryptic about their story. They're all seeing omniscient narrator characters, but also more influential than a traditional omniscient narrator, viewing the world as just their playthings, like they are the deities, the gods above the world. And that kind of controlling a smaller world within their world premise was clear in SHINee's teasers too, for the Hard era, where they basically played with a chessboard, showed that the world is their play toy to mess with. They also kind of showed that with like the costumes for the performance ready for them and waiting in the woods. The flimsy, on purpose, makeshift prop walls, all made to show this is all an act, a superficial show. Yuno had a similar show within a show premise with his whole freaking short film, Nexus, where he dealt with this AI counterpart and dimension hopped, went to virtual reality, different what-if scenarios, and left a lot of thoughts in viewers' heads, with moments like when his AI coach, essentially, through video games and stuff, seemed to realize she's better than humans, like there was the threat of a takeover. But when he said, you're just superficial, just bits of data, she indeed dissipated, like, you're right. So the power actually is in his hands, not hers, more than he thinks. Definitely a sequel is in order, very thought-provoking. SM Entertainment artists, on the whole, did stay quite ambiguous and interesting, with very cinematic previews. Red Velvet's Chill Kill previewed the murder mystery story in that spooky abandoned house. aespa, of course, have had short films. That's a go-to for them. Key had a fun set of short films, a bit Groundhog Day inspired, with a fun mascot twist, mascot head wearing boss's twist at the office. He really made an office concept interesting. The NCT 127 Fact Check era also had a series of preview videos showing each character in their own place in the big NCT storyline. We talked about that a lot already on the show. And we dissected on the show the NCT Dream mini-movie about a movie. Like Haechan is making a movie, making a commercial or something. The version of NCT Dream from a different dimension visits them in the commercial filming world. Comic fight scenes ensue when they're like, oops, we can't fight after 6 p.m. And when they think the weapons that stand up to the enemies are like shovels. It's very G-rated, very funny. Besides that, they also went in a comical direction with the MTV interview style in-character interviews that doubled as era teasers. As we dissected second by second, basically, ENHYPEN had quite the cinema with Dark Blood and Orange Blood, both getting a big preview film that showed off the vampire origin story, and I theorize the Orange Blood era showed the desire to back up in time. Wait, never mind. I wanted to be mortal. Enjoy things, because I don't feel as much enjoyment in these things without knowing they're temporary. I just take everything for granted now since life is eternal. That's what they realize after being bitten. Just my take, but very thought-provoking. As is Kai's short film for Rover. He tells quite a story with choreography throughout that one. From the times he seems wound up, like the cloth tying him to the dancers is trapping him, but then he escapes, he becomes the upper hand, or he tries but then gets even more tangled. Besides cloths, he has outfit changes between one version of him that acts like he probably just carried out a hit on someone to maybe a more innocent version of him. One chapter of the short film shows one version of him going through a hotel hall while the other is peeking through a doorway. Like when he enters one space, the other sticks his head out too. The transitions are quite trippy and leave you wondering, wait, now is this unfolding in that book the camera zoomed in on? In that guy's head? What's a dream? What's real? Fittingly, in the slide-in chapter, the dance messes with your sense of perception. What is the wall versus the ceiling? Bam Bam also had a compelling short film. It went between 4D and 2D scenes that really used color contrasts well to accentuate his points. The outfit changes too, in both color and style and fit. They all helped accentuate the emotion of the scene. Pain, regret, excitement, smittenness, sadness, etc. As we talked about recently on the show, Stray Kids released so much content visually for the Rockstar era, from the voiceover narration scene setter of the Rockstar prologue of sorts, to the 10-minute Stray Kids Flicks mini-movie introducing us to their curious multiverse. Then there was the mini documentary showing them just out of character, giving us a behind-the-scenes look at how this was made. They celebrated this release and themselves and their fictional characters at length. Taeyeon's Shalala came with a Matrix-inspired T or Y interactive preview. So clicking on T or Y redirected you to a different short film, a different voiceover giving him advice, in a different set of surroundings with a very different vibe. Midnatt, Midnatt, released a 5-part Midnight Drive short film. Each installment shows, long story short, a weird situation involving a ghost, a black cat, a seemingly anticlimactic ending, but also a to-be-continued one, some bizarre stuff. B.I.'s To Die For video series plays out interestingly because it was released in a scrambled order. The tracklist poster quotes tell a different story too, and a third story is told if you put them in the order of numerically what they should have been. But no matter what, the story kind of shows a doing whatever it takes for love premise, and at the end, he either succeeds or falls in a coma. You choose based on the order. Sunmi Stranger came with a series of videos showing her playing both the monster and the person behind it, and possibly others in different timelines, and just like a housekeeper in the main mansion. There were some outer space previews, like landing on Earth premises, like with Fantasy Boys and Lucemble. Magical bubbles with interesting symbolism were a thing too for ONF, P1 Harmony, who actually, interestingly, released their teaser as like an afterthought. So after the full jump video, this 18-second follow-up content came out. Hwang Minhyun released Truth or Lie with a highlight medley that asked him some questions for a lie detector test, very mood-setting. Code Kunst released Remember Archive with a teaser that just showed quite a tease. The camera slowly panning left to right, so you see just a frozen in time scene, one after the other. Like, here's a teaser of all the characters in weird scenarios you're about to meet with this big, sprawling, multi-chapter era. 8turn released The World story trailer where they teased going to this abandoned city where the line between dreams and reality is done away with. A magical, strange place where they find this glowing orb that they chase that turns into a golden bird that appears then in their real world back at school. The merging of reality and dream worlds now is a thing in the greater world outside of that city too. They very much teed up lots of storytelling to come. ATBO, for the beginning, had a 3-part, adorable story where this pilot broke down and got assistance from the other members, which turned the story from black and white to color. Then there's a fun plot twist at the end, where it turns out the home base he goes to, is this house in the sky, like in the movie Up or something. VIX's Amnesia comeback trailer had quite a dramatic monologue about what happens to your memories if you let fear take over, and what a fantasy world could be like not constrained by fear. Similarly dramatic, Kane Daniels Realize came with what's called a synopsis video, a narration about his role in this story as the Angel of Death, a lot of references to mythology like the River of Lethe, soul collecting on a riverbank, then thinking he foiled those out to get him by storing up these magic coins to use all at once to thwart them, but it backfired and he's back to square one, collecting souls again the next day. It ends with Matthew 10:28, quote, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the ones who can destroy both soul and body in hell," unquote. Further intriguing was the Wasteland extended teaser. Not a full-length video, but a suspenseful one, showing him basically doomed, the Grim Reaper's ready for him, and he crouches down, accepting fate. But the sun does reappear another day. There are statues, dragons, lots of eye-catching, dramatic components. Les Seraphims, Burn the Bridge, had lots of nice cinematic video stills with the flowers, the wings on fire, and a narration, a voiceover about lighting their own path, bursting open the door, even those they're not allowed to enter, but they're redefining the world on their own terms. And that bursting into doors you weren't first allowed in, not waiting for permission, very much in line with what happened to the Bluebeard's wife in that classic story I talked about in the episode Les Seraphim 101. Bye everybody, thanks for listening.